for evangelistic entrepreneurs, and that's you. And that's why you're here. And we're excited about to see what God's going to do in your life through this program and how you're going to be able to implement these trainings and teachings so that you can move the ministry forward with the calling that God has called on your life. This is exciting to us. So you're going to be learning this financial supporting yourself and your family. Have you been taking notes on how you can do this yet? Write in the comments below how you're implementing these trainings that you're getting. The trainings that we've had so far, day 1, we had secrets to turn your calling into a career. What was from that day? Can you remember what you took away from that? Can you put it in the comment box below? We want to hear from you, what you've taken away and what you're going to try to implement from those trainings. It'd be great to do all of them, but we know that we need to focus on one. For today's learning, just focus on that one thing that you can really change in your life and be intentional about. And so you can actually move forward to the goals that you're trying to reach, okay? And then day 2, we had your hidden talent Satan doesn't want you to know. And day 3, we had the 10 principles of prosperity. Now, that was interesting. I was looking at some of the videos and stuff that people were posting. It was exciting to see a lot of people's comments. I just want to tell you guys thank you for following through with our challenge. You're being committed. You're being intentional. And I really like one of them specifically that I saw. And so we're going to just talk about our winners. Well, we have one winner from day 1. We want to go ahead and announce that name. And it's Reynold Rodriguez. And I just want to know to tell you, brother, I saw yours last night, your posting, and it was amazing. Thank you for, I know because you're in another country that a lot of times it takes a little bit longer, and I know that was a concern of yours, but you did an amazing job, and I really liked what you had to share. So thank you for being committed, and thank you for being part of our community and posting what you took away from it. I appreciate that. I'm looking forward to seeing how God's going to use this challenge to change your life specifically to reach the masses for Christ and through the financial training that you're going to receive on how to turn your talents into a career. So this is going to be really exciting to see how God's going to use you. And we're also looking at today we have our Inner Circle networking session today right after this at 12:15. So we're going to be looking forward to you guys coming and getting your questions answered so you can move forward some more. So this is our personal time where we can really network and really come together and really help you grow to where you need to grow. And we also want to we just want to thank you guys for attending and being part of this Inner Circle. And with this challenge, what you're going to be walking away with is 6 days of training. You'll discover your hidden talents and use them to turn your calling into a career. So Enoch's been teaching you about how to do that. And I know you guys have been taking notes. And I know that you've been coming prepared because I'm seeing the comments. So you definitely want to make sure, again, today that you're prepared, which I know you are because I'm seeing the fruit of that. So anybody that's new with us today, just make sure this will be a good time to grab that notebook and pen right now. Thank you. And then we also have access to the private community for the Calling to Career challenge. So also for anybody that's new, you can also go to calltocareerchallenge.com and just get in there and surf around if you're a surfer and also participate. That's what we want you to do. We want you to participate. But me, I have to surf first so I can explore. So you're also going to be eligible to win a daily prize. So we're excited. Once again, we have Reynold Rodriguez that's winning our day 1. So once again, we have great prizes that we'll be giving away. For him, what we have for him today is we have, let me see. What will I give him today? Let's see. Mind Your Own Business Challenge. That's what we're going to do for him. He's going to have the replay on that one. And brother, you're really going to appreciate this. It's going to really grow you in so many different ways. I look forward to, once again, what he's going to do in your part of the world, because we're over here, but you're over there. So, you're on a fresh soil, so you have a lot that you can do right there where you're at. And so we're looking forward to hearing testimonies from you specifically. At least I am. I'm just really excited for you, brother. This is exciting. Thank you guys for all coming out and being part of this challenge. This is amazing, and I know that God brought you here for a reason, and you're going to be a whole different person through the end of this, and it's going to change your life. It's going to change your family's life, and it's going to change the people in your community, because you're going to be able to move forward with these skills. And just comment below what's your favorite thing that you're learning. Give me a thumbs up on what you're learning, the things that really stood out to you, because I really want to hear from you. I'm going to be looking for those in the comment section below. And once again, here we're getting ready to go with Enoch Leffingwell, and he's going to bring our today's teaching.
Yeah. Welcome back to Calling to Career Challenge. We are on day 4. Can you imagine? It's already been 3 days have gone by. We're on the 4th one and we're just getting started. This is so much fun. I love the eagerness that each of you guys have had and the things we're able to learn and grow. This has really been a blessing. Today we are going to be looking at what society isn't telling you about the impact of your income. We're going to be looking at what society isn't telling you about the impact of your income. We're going to be revealing some of the secrets that those who have turned their calling into a career understand, but is not readily available to people who are looking for these answers. So I just want to share with you that we find that those who receive the most from the training, those who really engage and who grow, is that expression deepens the impression. So as you're learning, if you find a quotable, or if you find a little snippet or a concept that was really helpful, you're like, whoa, I want to remember that. I encourage you, take notes, and you can even type those things that really stood out to you in the comment section below the video. And there you see that people will comment and they'll engage, and it's another way to be able to engage with the community and help other people to remember. People are doing that all throughout the training. They really get a lot from it, because learning isn't a spectator sport. It requires action. It's active. It's something you engage with. And those who are the most engaged are the ones who are going to retain the most and ultimately be able to apply. So in understanding this, what we're going to be looking at is we already covered your hidden talent on day 2. Today we're specifically looking at your talent of time and acquired money, and going into more detail about what is time and busting a lot of common myths that society has trained us to think that the only way or the best way or the major way of getting ahead financially is to trade more of our time in order to acquire more money. But by the end of today, you're going to be, I believe, amazed at what the truth really is about the impact of your income. So first, let's look at what can money buy? What is, I asked this to a student of mine one time, and I was like, hey, you know what money can buy? And instantly they're like, trouble. And I was like, whoa, that's interesting. And then they, like, you could tell, like, let me ask you, if you believe that money buys trouble, what are you going to want nothing of in your life? You're going to want no trouble through money, or you won't want either one of them. So the beliefs that we have about money largely influence the money that we have or don't have. And it's the law of faith, that your bank account is a direct reflection of the beliefs that you have and hold about money. If you believe money is trouble, then you're not going to have much of it, because you won't want to. You're going to do things that will push that away or sabotage your financial results. So what can money buy? Let's look at the scriptures. Let's kind of look at this. In the context of that conversation with my student, I was looking at a t-shirt that said, money can't buy happiness, but broke can't buy anything. And it was just kind of an interesting concept. But Ecclesiastes 10:19 says a very interesting verse. It says, money answereth all things. Wow. Have you ever wondered why the Bible says money answereth all things? How does money solve a lot of problems that come up in life? Well, let's look. What can money buy? Instead of focusing on what money cannot buy, it's good stewardship to recognize what can money buy and how can it be used to serve your calling, to serve Christ, to serve others. First of all, number one, money can buy speed. It can buy your time back at a discount. There are multiple ways that you can do things faster. Money is an accelerant. It takes what you're doing and helps you to go further faster. Money allows you to buy speed, and we're admonished to redeem the time. And so you could purchase back your time, and this is something that we would do well to do. Money can also buy options. It could buy choices. It could afford opportunities that you otherwise wouldn't be able to if you had not those resources. I remember the first time I realized, I'm like, wow, as a poor missionary, I had time freedom, but I didn't have that financial independence to be able to do some of those, have the options, the choices of being able to reach more people and to serve more faster, be more, give more, grow more. And there was restrictions, but money lifts those restrictions and it gives you options. This is one of the things that money can buy. Also, money comes with a stronger influence that you can have for Christ. Ecclesiastes 9:14-16 talks about the story of there's a poor wise man who through his wisdom was able to fight off their city went into being besieged by the enemy, and through his wisdom he protected the city from being destroyed. And it showed that wisdom is better than weapons. But it's interesting because the verse continues and it says that nobody remembered this man because he was poor. So we find that poverty will cost you your influence. A poor missionary is going to be sometimes harder to leave an impact on people's lives than someone who is like a missionary in the marketplace, someone who has those resources. And it's just one of those things that with finances comes greater influence, and you can use that influence to lead others to Christ. And then what else can money buy? Money can buy time-saving and labor-saving tools or equipment, machines. There are witty inventions, as Proverbs 8:12 says, that allow us to be able to have a tool or technology that helps us to reach more or expand your influence and expand your impact that you can have on the world for Christ. But a lot of times I remember where it took me months to save up for a $1,000 camera, but I worked with a ministry and they had more resources and they bought 3 cameras and we were ready to use them in 2 days. I was like, I've never seen anything like it. They're so powerful. Now, what are some equipment? What are tools that you can think of in your life, in your ministry, in your business, that if you had them, it would allow you to reach more people. It would allow you to serve more. Money is one of those things that can buy time-saving, labor-saving machines that we would do well to use. God gives inventive faculties. So another thing that money can buy is access to mentors. It could purchase training. It can help, and these trainings, these events can help forge relationships with people who can open up other doors that you otherwise wouldn't see. This is why the wealthy are willing to invest in country clubs or willing to invest in associations or things, because they have access to people who are in the sphere that they're doing. And they're able to open up more doors, and I could see that almost every major growth in my life has came from having a coach or a mentor or someone in my life who has been a pivotal turning point in my experience. And so money is one of those things that you can have more access to people who have the results that you want, and then learn what they do. So another thing that money can buy is money allows you to employ others. It allows you to leverage other people's time, other people's knowledge, other people's influence, other people's resources, where you don't have to look at your own things, but you can look after the things of others. So you don't have to have just enough for yourself, but you can have more for employing others and giving others opportunities to live their calling, to serve where they fit best. So it's as we're looking at this finances, it's good to know what can be the impact of your income. And as we see this, we realize that we want to consider another principle is that not all income is created equally. All income is not created equally. And what I mean by that, there are some income that you could exchange your talents for, and it's going to limit you. It's going to not be, all that glitters is not gold, my friends. Just because you're able to earn doesn't mean you want to exchange what it requires to have that type of income. And I will share with you, there are multiple sources of income. There are many sources, but there's a few of them that are going to give you both financial freedom and time freedom so that you could spend your time, the stuff that life is made out of, to live your life calling. So let's look at, what is this? We're looking at the law of compensation. In 1 Timothy 5:18, the Bible says that the laborer is worthy of his reward. There's a compensation that God's word has established for, and the level of income, your level of income is directly in proportion to the class of impact that you're operating under. Whatever type of, there are 4 classes of impact. There are the higher classes and there are lower classes of impact. Now I want to ask you, what kind of impact do you want to have for Christ? What kind of impact do you want to have in this world? Do you want to operate under the higher class of impact or lower class of impact? What kind of impact do you want to leave for eternity? And I see people saying higher. I want to have a really big impact, Tina says. Higher, yes, okay, great. Well then, what are these? How are we going to be able to have this higher impact if we don't know what they are? So we're going to show you these 4 classes of impacts. And I can tell you how much money that you make just by what class of impact that you're operating under. The lowest class of impact, one of the 2 lower classes, is those who actualize. These are the ones who are actually doing the work, who are using, they're carrying this out, they're doing it. They are often those who are the technicians. They are the ones who are having, like, the tradesmen, like whatever it is. If you're working on the lowest class of impact, if you're making under $100,000 a year, then it's because chances are you are working under the class of actualizing. It means you're actually carrying out the thing within the marketplace. And what we see is that money follows value that is added in the marketplace. So the level of money that you will find in your career, in your calling, in your business, in your ministry is going to be in direct proportion to the type of impact, the amount of value that you have put into the marketplace. And when I'm talking about these different levels of impact or value, I want to be clear that in God's eyes, each one of us as a person is of the same infinite value that God has placed on this soul, on the individual. But as far as the marketplace and how finances fund your mission, not all types of activities are of the greatest impact to the marketplace. And it is the marketplace that will exchange their money for the impact or the value, the level of problem that you solve for the marketplace, for the community, for the economy. So this is important to understand because God places a very high value on these different roles. But if you want to understand how finances flow and where finances come from, it is which class of impact that we are operating under. So the lowest class of impact that the marketplace values is actualize. The second lowest class of impact is those who supervise. And the supervisors are those who manage and those who organize those who are actually doing the work. The supervisors manage the organizers. And whether you are a manager or in middle management of bigger companies, like they're going to be making between like $70,000 to about maybe $200,000 on the really high ends of some management roles. But there's always going to be a lid. There's going to be a cap on the level of income that you have because of the amount of impact that that type of activity of supervising has to the marketplace. So this is that second lowest class of impact. The third, the third class of impact, which is the second highest class. Now we're looking into the higher classes. What separates the lower classes from the higher classes is this. Those who are at the second, who are working in the second highest class of impact are those who verbalize. It's those who are using their mouth to make money, those who are communicating in commerce, those who have a message to the marketplace. They're on a mission to the marketplace. These are the ones who speak. This is like sales, like public speaking, like those who will do speeches and who will communicate, content creation. These are the types of people who can make from like $300,000 a year to onward and upwards. When you look at a lot of the wealthiest people on the planet, each of these people, they are earning wealth somehow through sales, through communicating. They use their words to make money. And the marketplace values those who speak. You know, there's something that we have to understand, is that your words are incredibly valuable. God created the worlds with his words. It was with the words that the heavens were made. And so your words have a power that we need to stop underestimating or underappreciating. People need to learn how to use their mouth to communicate, to move, to send a message that moves the multitudes. We see our brother says that Jesus was a super communicator. Absolutely. Had Jesus not verbalized as much as he did in his ministry, he would not have left that level of impact that he did for Christ. And everybody has a mouth. Everybody has. This is one gift that we all have the ability to speak and to communicate. The power to persuade is a power that is, I would say, one of the most underestimated talents that you have that we tend to hide in the earth. But those who choose to verbalize, those are the ones who get paid a premium in the marketplace, who have a message to the marketplace. So verbalize is the second highest class of impact. Now, the number one, the highest class of impact, those who get paid the most in the marketplace, is those who visualize. It is the visionaries. It is the dreamers. It is the people who can see a future that is better than the present. Those who see a problem, but they see possibility in every problem. But many, they see problems in every possibility. But these people who are able to have a vision, Proverbs 29:18 said, where there is no vision, the people perish. All business can't exist without visualizing a future that is better than the present. No ministry can exist without seeing a vision of the world better than it is now. It's the visionaries, those who are crazy enough, who think that they can change the world, are the ones who do. Well, what happens as we see the four classes of impact on the screen is that the people are visionaries. They visualize a plan, they imagine possibilities, and then they give it to those who verbalize to communicate that message to the masses. And then as they're communicating this vision, then they employ the supervisors who will then supervise and unify those people who are actually doing the work and actually carrying it out. These are the ones who are, this is the order of how things move forward. Now, let me ask you a question. I'm going to tell you the name of a company. And as soon as you hear it, I want you to type in the comments below. Tell me what name, what person comes to your mind when I say this company, okay? Apple, that Apple company. What name comes to your minds? Who goes through your thoughts when you hear the word Apple, okay? We see on here Steve Jobs. Okay, people are saying Steve Jobs. Yeah, so this is often the person that comes to mind. But do you realize that Steve Jobs did not create the Apple computer. He's not the one who actually did that. He partnered with, it was Steve Wozniak who actually implemented and put together the technology, the innovation that we love and use throughout the world that has radically transformed technology. Steve Jobs is the one that you remember because Steve Jobs was the one who would visualize and vocalize the vision. But it was Steve Wozniak who actually put these things together and did the technical work. But everyone remembers Steve Jobs because you see that these two partner together. When you have someone who's a visionary, they can partner with someone who is an actualizer, someone who, or if you have a technical skill, or if you like that, then partner with someone who is a visionary, who is strong in vocalizing. These things, by partnering together, you can leverage and outsource the skills that you don't have. Yes, Brother Reynald says that he was the face and the innovator of the company. Absolutely. But this is how the marketplace works, and it's good for us to recognize this. Now, there are different resources that are available to the different workers in these 4 classes of impact, these 4 classes of workers. And if we look at these resources, on the lowest level, the one resource that the actualizers get to use is involvement. Involvement is what those who actually do. They are actively involved in order for it to move forward. The reason why this is the lowest class of impact and income is because you are extremely limited. If your income depends on your active involvement, you will always be limited by your time. You only get 24 hours in a day by how much income you can create with your active involvement. Active income is extremely limited. But that's the resource that they have. They have their active involvement. Now, on the second class of impacts, the supervisors, they have interrelations. It is through the interrelations with other people, their social influences, and the actualizers. That's the resource they have, is the relationships with the people they're working with. That is how they're able to cooperate, and that's the resource that they have. And so it is a greater level of impact to an organization, to the marketplace, but it's still going to be limited in how they work. And then the second highest level of impact, they have a different resource, and that is influence. That's the influence that they're able to persuade and move the multitudes to take action, to work towards a common, a desired outcome in the future. And it is through influence that they're able to influence the multitudes to make decisions. And there's really no limit to what influence can do. And then on the highest class of impact, this is the only class that actually has 2 resources that they use to be able to increase their income. And the 2 resources, well, the first resource at the highest level, the highest class, is intention. They use their intention. The highest paid people on the planet are very intentional in using their minds, their thinking faculties, to be able to imagine solutions, to imagine possibilities, to create goals, to start from the invisible and carry it down to actuality. This is they use the intention to increase their money. And then they're very intentional with their time, they're intentional with their work, they're intentional with the people they employ, they're intentional. Now, the second resource that the highest class of impact is they use their income to increase more income. They use their money to make more money. The poor believe the poor will work for their money, but the wealthy, they have their money work for them. They take their income and they invest in things that will, in income producing assets, and they allow these assets to increase their income without their active involvement. Those who are impacting the world on the highest level, in the broadest sense, reaching the masses, are those who are using their income to increase more income. They are leveraging. They are, like we said, what can your income buy? They could buy you time. They could buy you speed. Money can buy help. They could buy employment of others, time saving, labor saving tools. Money answereth all things, as Ecclesiastes says. So those who want to operate at the highest level, the highest classes of impact, have the greatest impact. They're understanding, how can I use my income to increase my income? How can I use my intention to increase my impact? And you see that your income is a direct reflection of the impact that you have had in the marketplace. Is this making sense, friends? Is this like, let me know if it's saying this is making sense. So the reason why this is so valuable, well, many reasons. One of the reasons why this is so valuable, yes, okay, making sense, praise the Lord, is important because it helps us to realize what is the game. There's nothing, I want you to know clearly, there's nothing wrong with working under the lowest class of impact and actualize. You will always be limited on the level of impact that you have, but it's highly valuable. It's not degrading. It's a gift and a blessing. But know that if your vision, the reason why I share this is, if your vision is to impact masses, but you're working on a limited level of impact, then your vision will be here, but your vehicle is not of the sort that will get you to where you want to go. And I just want you to know so that you can make an informed decision, to make an educated decision. But it's up to you what level that you want to work at. So, and it's up to you at what skills are you willing to develop? What skills are you going to cultivate in the cause of Christ? And what class of skills? I would challenge you to train your brain to look at your time. You can only spend your time in one of these 4 classes. And as you go through life, say, well, what class of impact is this in? And it will help you to at least understand where these things are in this scale of impact and income. So now what I want to look at is, I want to give you another example. We see this example in Genesis 11, verse 6. The Bible says the Bible is speaking of the Tower of Babel. And the Lord said, behold, the people is one, and they have all one language. And this they begin to do, and now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. Now catch this. This is very interesting. We see the four classes of impact even within this Tower of Babel. It's those who are actualizing are the muscles who do the building. Those who are actualizing, if we could click the slide, they are the muscles who do the building. Those who are supervising are the managers who make the people one. And the verbalizers are the mouths that speak one language, and the visualize are the minds who imagine to do. Now we look at this because in the Tower of Babel, it's talking about the wicked, but it says that nothing is restrained from them which they're imagined to do. Can you imagine when God looks down at his children and says, look, there is nothing that can hold them back from what they set out to do. If this is true and can be said about the wicked, how much more can this be said about God's people who are of one mind, of one message, and of one movement? And as they apply the principles of the 4 classes of impact, there is nothing that you can imagine to do that God has promised for His cause and for His glory that will hold you back from being able to do that. And it's by understanding these 4 levels, these 4 classes are in all things. If you're going to build a house, you have the actualizers, who are the contractors, who are the plumbers, who are the electricians, who are the builders, who are the people who are working on the house. Jesus said, no man intending to build a tower sitteth not down first and counteth the cost to see whether he has sufficient to finish it. Intention, that's visualize. The one who visualizes, the landowner. And then you have the verbalize. That's the architect who takes the vision of the clients, of the landowner, of the house, the person who's going to live in the house, and the architect will take that vision and they will communicate and they'll verbalize what the vision and plans are of the owner, and then will hire foremen or general contractors or a foreman who will supervise the laborers who are actualizing and carrying out this building into fruition. We see this principle all throughout the marketplace, and those, you can tell how much income each person makes on a job construction site just by what level, what class of impact that they are operating under. Their income is connected to your impact. I want you to be able to see this connection. So there's this principle that how the wealthy, they use their income to increase income. One thing that they do is they invest their income they lend it to, sometimes they lend it to businesses, they lend it to people, they lend it, and this is where we see Proverbs 22:7 is that the rich ruleth over the poor, but the borrower is servant to the lender. We see that those who are wealthy are supervising or they are lending, and we see that those who are poor, they are borrowing. They are trying to borrow money from others to try to get ahead. And because they owe, it forces them into this labor to be servants, to be slaves to a system of debt that requires them to continue to trade their time in service to pay off their debts. It's a biblical concept. This is like where that famous that Disney cartoon, it was the Seven Dwarfs, where they're singing the song, I owe, so off to work I go, ho, ho. And we see that there's this, you guys know what I'm talking about. And a lot of times we see that people go to school, they get into steep student loan debts, then they go buy a car that they can't afford, they got these car payments, then they got these house payments that they can't afford, they have all this debt, and in this debt, it's like forcing them to the job or the career that's competing, that is now in competition with their calling. And they have to go to work like the Seven Dwarfs because they owe so much. And it's, oh no. So we're going to be looking at what are some of the mistakes. What are the mistakes that people make when they're trying to get ahead? The first mistake is having a job, a job. One of the reason why we call this a job, because you know it's an acronym, right? Job stands for just over broke. This trading for time for money, or JOB stands for journey of the broke. So let me ask you a question. How long do you want to stay on that journey? And this is when people are trying to get ahead, the first thing that they think is to get a job. But trading the time for money is always going to have its strong limitations. We see not long, okay. And it's because your time is so limited. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. It's just understand, if you want to increase your income, then and you want to have the freedom to be there for your family, to be there for your calling, to be there for those you're called to serve, then you may want to reconsider that and don't associate income with a job, because it's always going to be limited. You see, in scriptures, in the Bible, there was only 2 jobs that we see in scriptures. If you had a job in scriptures, the only 2 jobs I can find is if you had a job, you were either a soldier or you were a slave. Everybody else owned a business. And you look at every prominent patriarch, every prominent figure throughout scriptures, they all owned a job. I mean, they all owned a business. But if they didn't, they were either a slave, like Joseph in Egypt or Daniel, or they were a soldier. And so this is not the best. And part of the reason why, I would say that having a job is without question the worst legitimate way to make money is because you're trading time for money. Anything that requires you to trade your time to make money is always going to be limited. And it's like having golden handcuffs. And I love this photo because, as you see, it's like he's going to work, he's tying his tie, and he's got gold. He's got these gold watches. It's what a lot of people want. They got the Rolex, they got the nice watch, but it's chains. All that glitters is not gold. It looks like gold, it feels like gold, but you can't use it because you're trapped. And the problem is that your time is worth infinitely more value than money. Your time is infinitely more valuable than money, and I could prove it to you. The reason why we know that your time is more valuable than money is because let's say I was going to write you a check, and I got here a blank check with your name on it. And if I told you that you could cash any check that you want, whatever it is, if it's 100,000, a million, 10 million, if you put any dollar amount on there and it would clear and it would be in your account the next day, then and I have this check, I'll give it to you. Would you want it? Would you like that? Would that be something that people are like, hey, that sounds nice? But there's only one condition. You have to give me in exchange for your life. You have to you have to give me your life today. Would you accept it? No, absolutely not. Because what good is your money if you have no time or life to experience it or to use it? And you see that time is worth more than money. Another example, let's say you are on your deathbed. Let's say you got really sick, God forbid, and you have a terminal illness. And like Steve Jobs, he went on and he died of cancer. Now, you can have all the money in the world. If you were able to have all the wealth of your life, then what amount of money would you exchange for more time, for more years, for more life, if you knew you were going to die in 2 weeks or a short space? I mean, there's nothing that you wouldn't give so that you could live longer, because you see that the money is useless when it's in comparison or competition with your time. Your life calling is how you spend your time in life. So I want you to really consider, how are you spending your time? Your life is but a vapor. You don't know what tomorrow holds. Why limit yourself on trading time for money when that is not, nobody's going to pay you what you're really worth in doing that. So align your life with what the life of Christ and his calling in your life, in what really matters. So what do we do? What's the solution? If we realize that time is more valuable and these jobs are like the worst legitimate way to make money, then we could take the heed to the counsel of Christ. When Jesus said in Luke 19:13, and he called his 10 servants and delivered them 10 pounds, and he said unto them, occupy till I come. The answer is accepting the counsel of Christ to occupy till I come. Now, what does the word occupy mean? Very interesting. Look it up, friends. It means that God wants us to occupy till he comes, the second coming, the end of the world. And what it means in Webster's 1828 dictionary, you find that occupy means to pursue business or persevere in business. Jesus is literally telling us that he would have us to pursue business until he comes, or to persevere in business until the second coming of Christ. And it's very interesting because even the context of the parable of the 10 talents, we read verse 13, but if you read verse 11, you'll find the reason why Jesus gave the parable of the 10 talents and said, pursue business till the second coming, is he added and spake a parable because he was nigh to Jerusalem, and because they thought that the kingdom of God should immediately appear. So in the context, he's saying is that the disciples were thinking Jesus is coming so soon. We're living at the end of the world. There's not enough time left. Therefore, Jesus said, it's because we're living at the end of the world. occupy till I come. Pursue business, persevere in business until I come the second time. A lot of times people are like, we're living in the last days. We don't have time to pursue business. But I'd suggest to you that it's because we're living in the last days that we need to be occupying. We need to be pursuing business, evangelistic businesses, evangelistic entrepreneurship, so that your business is your vehicle to serve the multitudes, to be able to take the message of the everlasting gospel to the uttermost parts of the world, to expand the influence of Christ on earth. Business is a good idea because business is a God idea. This is God's plan for his children to turn their calling into a career. So the first mistake is by having a job. That is the first mistake. The second mistake is that people go from having a job to owning a job. Now, owning a job is the second worst way to make money. And here's why. A lot of people, they go from working, trading their time for money. They're like, okay, I'm going to start a business. Let me do my own thing. And then as they start a business, because they don't understand the models, how not all businesses are the same. So what they end up doing is they create this service. They start selling their own thing. They think that, well, because they're a technician, an actualizer who knows how to actually do a thing, then they get the idea that they can start a business that does that actual thing. And so then what they create is they become what I call self-employed job owners. Self-employed job owners, they don't really like own a business, they own a job. It's just a high-paying job. And there's an example. There's a friend who, a brother that I knew, and he really wanted to serve Christ. He wanted to help. He saw the example of Paul. He saw different people. He's like, I need to know a trade. So what am I going to do? I'm going to become an upholsterer. I'm going to start an upholstery business where I repair furniture and I repair this. So he has this service that he helps people. And then he's up early in the morning till late at night, and he's working in the shop. He's constantly working. He's trying to do this so he can support himself, so he could be a missionary. But so much of his time is consumed in his business. And as a solopreneur or just with his family, like he's struggling with the time. Now, you might be able to earn more. Having a job is better than owning a job because at least you're making more, but it's worse because you have less time. You go from working 8 hours a day for someone else to working 18 hours a day, and you have no time for your family. So you think you own a business, but really the business owns you. So friends, you don't want to go from having a job to owning a job. This is one of the most risky financial situations you can put yourself and your family through. Because if something happens to you, what happens? What if you get sick? There's a family at church, and there's this man who has this bakery, and he's using this as an evangelistic business, but he got sick and a lot of things are on him, and he's struggling, and he's really like trying to piece everything together. He's got a lot of orders, but he was the bottleneck. Everything was dependent upon him. And because he got sick, now the whole business is in jeopardy of going under, and he's desperately trying to find someone who can help run it while he's not doing well. So it's going from having a job to owning a job is very taxing. It's very difficult. It doesn't give you the time freedom. So this is a mistake that you want to avoid. And as we do this, understand, I want you to get that all business models are not created equally. There are some business models that, as a rule, like foundationally, they are not designed to give you time freedom, to provide for you the ability to serve where God's called you to serve, be where God's called you to be, go and to do what he's called you to do. That in order for you to operate, and it's like the more you succeed in some business models, if you make $100,000 a year, you have 100,000 responsibilities. If you make $1 million, you have 1 million responsibilities. And your income is entirely attached to your time, and it's going to be very difficult. So when you're looking at business models, understand that product-based business models are better than services. Not in the sense that services are bad and don't do that, but just know it's working at a lower level of impact. And where if you have a service-based business model where you are actively required, your time and your service, your involvement, the most limited resource that you have, in order for you to do it, you will always be limited. I'll give you an example. So I was working at a mechanic shop, and as a mechanic, then when we get a vehicle, we'd have to service that vehicle. Now, if I sold a product, then it takes the same amount of effort to sell 10 products as it does to sell 10,000 products. Now imagine if I got 10 cars that I had to fix in the mechanic shop, that would have taken some time. Imagine if I had to fix 10,000 cars. That's going to be a lot more difficult to scale, right? Because you're limited. I was working on a lower class of impact that is unable to be able to create that time freedom. And if I went from 10 to 10,000 cars of service, what does that look like for my time? What does that look like for how I'm able to use my time? I was a missionary mechanic and we helped people, but that was operating on, and there's nothing wrong with that. I believe I could have been a poor missionary mechanic for the rest of my life, and God would have been like, okay, praise the Lord, I could serve in that capacity. But I'm speaking to those, I'm not saying that having a salary or a wages or something is wrong, get me right. I just want you to be educated so you understand the type of lifestyle, the way that your time is going to be used if you choose to invest your intention and your income in these levels of classes and what they're going to create. Because I believe that we have a freedom of choice. We have the ability to choose what class that we want to develop, what class we want to operate in, and you can choose, and it will determine the type of impact that you have. But whether you have much, whether you have little, God can accept that. But this is for those who I believe are, like, you feel that you're called to do more, to give more, to be more, and you're wondering what is the difference between those who are limited and those who are limitless. And you see the levels of impact that people work under. So products are better than services. And it was very interesting. I was familiar with this concept, but I just went to an event called Funnel Hacking Live, and it was over, it's an event that Russell Brunson does, and he had Allison Prince on the stage, and there's like 4,000 entrepreneurs who are working online, and it was very fascinating because in one of their presentations, they basically, so like Russell Brunson is a founder of ClickFunnels. It's a website builder for online businesses, and Russell has access to, they have 100,000 monthly users or business owners. So when you look at the world's wide web, the online internet, they have like a massive amount of businesses are using their service. So when he has access to so many statistics and analytics and the numbers and the data of all these businesses, and he sees, and he made a statement that I'll never forget. He said, what we have concluded and what we found is that they're changing the way that they do their $25,000 yearly coaching program, is that they found that everybody who succeeds, out of everyone in their community, there's only two business models that they found that explode and expand the greatest, and who reach the highest levels, have the highest chances of succeeding. And they found that those were what he called the expert path, which is information products, it is advice, it's counsel, it's the knowledge industry. And then there's the e-commerce path, which is what Allison Prince is really good at, and that is with like clothing and shirts and bags, or that's like physical products, or you have water bottles that you sell online. So you have the expert path and you have the e-commerce path. And it was fascinating because when he said that, I was like, whoa, that's saying a lot, because they've got like 20 different business models that people work with in using funnels. And I find I'm like, wow, so these ones are scaling the most, and they're reaching like 10 million or 25 million or 50 million like in revenue. And you know, like I all learning is like taking something unknown to something known. And what I concluded from that was both e-commerce and the expert path, they're both product-based businesses. Neither one of them are services. With e-commerce, you can sell 10 bottles as well as you can sell 10,000 bottles, because they got shipment, they got fulfillment, they're outsourcing these things. It doesn't require Allison Prince's time to be able to fulfill on e-commerce. Russell, he's selling information products, courses, and programs and events, and it takes the same amount of effort to sell the 10 as it does the 10,000. They're both product-based services. I was like, this is eye-opening, very interesting. So when you understand that products are better than services, understand that there are different types of products that you could use for your ministry or your business and turning your calling into a career. And we see some of this through the example of Christ. Sometimes we're talking about this like, where do we see this in the life of Christ? Where are the examples? Well, Revelation chapter 3 and verse 18, it talks about where Jesus says, I counsel thee to buy of me gold tried in the fire, white raiments, that the shame of your nakedness do not appear, and eye salve, that thou mayest see. So when you look at what was the counsel of Jesus, who was representing as a heavenly merchantman, as a heavenly salesman, is he's selling golds, white raiment, and eye salve. These are all products. And and when you look at the different types of products, where he says, I counsel thee. Did you know that people will gladly be willing to pay for your advice? People are willing to pay you for the knowledge that you have, to expand and show them and challenge them and provide clarity and direction, that you've experienced some transformation and you know something that they don't. This is where they are, this is where you are, and they're willing to pay you for the counsel that you have to get them to where they want to go. They're gladly willing to pay that. That's the expert path. This is what we would call information products. So that would be the type. And then gold, you have examples of financial products, whether it's real estate or investing or different types. And then white raiment, that would fall under the category of e-commerce products. These are physical products that you can sell online. And eye salve, you have an eye salve, this is in the health space. This is whether it's like health products or health food or food products. There's also animal products like Abraham, they would sell wool, they would create clothing, they would create, whether it's honeys, animal products, there's different types of products that are able to be provided. And we see that that there are possibilities, that really there's no limit to who we're able to serve with these, bringing heavenly solutions to earthly problems. We see on here, someone said, I love that Christ is our perfect example, and in all of this, amen. Christ was an entrepreneur, and he understood. He was an entrepreneur, as we saw yesterday, for almost 10 times longer than he was in full-time ministry as a carpenter. And then, so another principle to understand in dealing with income is that your profits are better than wages. Profits are better than wages. See, even if you made $25 profit, that is 100 times better than $25 in wages, because wages, again, is limited on your time. Profits, there's no limits to the profits you're able to make. In Matthew 25:30, Jesus talks about the man who buried his talents. He hid his talent in the earth, and Jesus calls him, thou wicked and slothful servant. He's also called the unprofitable servant that is sent into outer darkness. So God doesn't want us to be unprofitable, and making profit is not bad. And he is actually profiting from the talents that don't belong to him. They're gifts. They were a gift from the household, a gift from the Lord, gifts from God, that is talents, and he exchanged his talents. He sent his talents to the exchanges and profited. Profits are better than wages. And time is just one of those talents, but you could exchange your expanding influence, your thinking faculties. You could exchange your acquired money to use your income to increase income. There's multiple talents that you could exchange, but the profits don't rely upon your time. And then the second is to realize that commissions are better than wages. Commissions are, they come from sales. Commissions is, now we're entering upon the second highest class of impact, and that is verbalized, the ability to communicate and to sell products so that where you earn a commission from them. It's Proverbs 31, verse 24, the virtuous woman. This woman who represents a Christ-like woman and representing the church, so both men and female could be represented by her. It says of this woman that she maketh fine linen and selleth it. Doesn't say she gives it away, but she sells it and delivers girdles unto the merchants. So she's a missionary to the merchants. She's a missionary to the marketplace. The virtuous woman is a businesswoman. She's a saleswoman. And we see that that commissions is one of those things that allows you to there's no limit to what you can earn in commissions. But there is on wages. You're always limited on wages. So I'll give you some examples of what commissions look like. Commissions are, the scripture says that in Proverbs 31:18, she perceiveth that her merchandise is good. So she has a strong belief in what she sells. She has a strong belief in the solutions that she provides to the marketplace. And some of you, when you're in selling environments, you're like, I know you can't afford this, but, or it's like, I know this probably isn't for you, but would you be interested? Or we get nervous and we get like almost as though like we have something that we know has helped us and we want to share it with other people, but somehow we think that it's actually going to hurt someone to be able to share a heavenly solution to their earthly problem. People are hurting, and then we go and we ask for a no. But the virtuous woman doesn't do so. She perceives and knows. She has a strong belief in what she's selling. So first of all, you have to have merchandise. You have to have a product that you offer for monetary value in exchange for money. You have to have a product to earn commissions. Second, commissions is when you are paid by the percentage of sales. So when you sell, you get a percentage of that, whether it's 50% is often for information products when selling courses. And another example is affiliate commissions. Affiliate commissions, there's affiliate marketers who will take products and they will sell them and they'll receive a percentage of those profits, and they find profits and commissions are better than wages. There's no limit to who you could share. It's just how you verbalize. It's how you can visualize creative ways to bring it to the people who it can serve, and you verbalize the value, uncover the value with your words, and help people to take action. And that action will exchange, and you're serving others, and you are increasing your impact for Christ and your possibilities in the future. So and then another example of commissions would be network marketing commissions. It's a lot of times people find that by partnering with a network marketing company, they're able to outsource a lot of the complicated stuff of the startup. Let a different company just outsource, leverage, let them take care of the products, the production, the marketing, and let them do those things so that you can focus on those high income skills. You can focus on verbalizing, visualizing. You can focus on reaching the people, socializing, because it's through the social relations the gospel is carried to the world. People have found that they have been very effective ways and vehicles, like a really powerful school for entrepreneurship, where you're earning commissions from the sales that you're making, because maybe you don't want to tie up all your time and energy or the learning curve of trying to create physical products or outsource e-commerce things. You just let a network marketing company take care of it for you. You communicate to people, you exchange and you educate, and you can share you can weave, you can share spiritual subjects through your solutions, as we talked about. And as you're sharing with them the heavenly principles, then they say yes to you, and then you get commissions, and they're served at a higher level. You have more impact in the marketplace. So another example of commissions would be like a sales job that pays commissions. So I would say if you have a job, one of the best jobs that you could have is something that's relating to sales, because at least even if you're working for another company in sales department, then by learning those skills of verbalizing, you're learning higher level of impact skills, and there's no limit to what you can earn. It's based on commissions. You're in an environment where you can learn and you can grow and you can thrive. So these are examples of commissions. So so as you're learning this, you may be thinking, I Actually, you may be thinking that like sales is like, I don't know, it's like I always feel icky or bad or uncomfortable doing this. So we have to settle an age-old question. How many people have felt challenged or difficult or withdrawn when you're in a sales environment? How many people have struggled with something like that? Let me know in the comments. Well, we have to know, is selling a blessing or is it a curse? Is selling, like, what does the Bible says that if you have something that is good, something that is helpful, then you have a moral obligation to sell it to as many people as you can. And it's in Proverbs 11:26. It's worded like this. It says, "He that withholdeth the corn, the people shall curse him, but blessing shall be upon the head of him that selleth it." So the Bible is literally saying, it doesn't say there's a blessing to those who give it away for free. It's those who sell it. The Bible is actually saying you're cursed if you don't, and you're blessed if you do. You have to understand, selling is not something you do to someone. Selling is something you do for them. Selling is service. It is a disservice. If you have something that can transform someone's life, you're doing a disservice by not selling it. Because if you cannot sell them on your solution, if you cannot lead them to say yes, then you won't be able to serve them. You can't help them because it's after they say yes, after they're sold, then you can serve and transform their life. You'd be doing a disservice not to. This is where we're at the second highest level of impact. The highest class of impact is those who are learning sales, who are using their verbalizing. They are learning influence and persuasion to be able to help influence people. It's very clear and straightforward. So there's two ways that you can do this. Is number one is that you can pay partners to promote your offers. You can pay partners to promote your offers, or two is that you could have partners pay you for promoting their offers. You take their offers and you sell it, you get a commission, or you pay partners, they sell your product, your offers, and you get a commission and you give a commission. And personally, I like them both. They both work very well. But these are ways that you can understand this. And we see in the wisdom of Proverbs, this Proverbs is written by the wealthiest and wisest man that ever lived, the wealthiest man in human history. Do you think King Solomon knows a little something about finances or impact or being able to help people in his capacities? Yes, there's lessons of business that we can learn from modeling the business model of King Solomon. And yes, Solomon had a business, and yes, Solomon sold stuff, and that was how he was able to reach more people. So sometimes some of you are listening, and some questions have been coming up where it's like, okay, I see the limitations of having a job, and I want to pursue my calling. I want to turn my calling into a career, and they're thinking, okay, does that mean that I need to quit my job, or like I feel like I want to cut away, but what do I do? It's like I got this job security. So we're going to talk about a moment about when to transition from a career to your calling. When do we transition? When do we make that leap? How many of you guys are in this boat when you're in a career, you see that maybe competing with your calling, or it might be limiting you, or maybe you feel that you are able to serve your calling and help people in your capacity, but if you're able to have your own business, you could even reach more people, or you could be in a situation to do greater. If that's you, let me know. Say, that's me. So, okay, good. So we see, yes, I want to know. Okay, so when do we do this? First of all, I'm not telling everybody go out and quit your job tonight. That's not what I'm suggesting. I remember when I was working as a teacher, and as a teacher, I was teaching in a classroom, and I was leading the people here. But it's like I had these skills, like I had this dream. God told me. It was an internet ministry that led me to the Lord. Why can't He use an internet ministry through me to lead others to the Lord? And I knew I was called to be able to take the gospel, the witty inventions, and scale technology to reach the masses. Because I know the power and potential of the internet, but I wasn't doing that. I wasn't living that portion of my calling. So I'm teaching in these missionary schools, But I couldn't help but to feel limited with the classroom. That it's like I'm reaching these people, and I praise God for that. But I knew that there's a way that I could do both, or I could reach more. But I wasn't doing that. So what I did is the secrets from transitioning from a career to your calling is found in the example of Christ in John 6:12. Jesus gives a principle to gather up the fragments of your time. When after feeding the 5,000, he gave them all bread, and then after they were all fed, he said, like, gather up the fragments, let nothing be lost. And we can gather up the fragments of our time. It's in the pockets of our time that we're able to create a business that in this new economy that we're in, we're able to use the internet from our phone, from our laptop, and create a lifestyle of evangelism, even through the pockets of our time. And what starts as a side business can eventually become a full-time income. We see the exact same thing happen in the life of Jacob. While Jacob was working at his job for Laban, he didn't own a business, so the blessing God had for Jacob went to Laban, and Laban even admitted, he said, look, Jacob, don't go, because God, since you've been working with me, my business has exploded. I'm paraphrasing, and he's saying that that it is because of you that my business has grown. And Jacob's like, I know this, but how can I continue to work for you? I have family, I have sons, I have a wife, and I need to be able to provide. I need to start my own business. Like, how many employees are thinking like, okay, I'm being employed, I'm working here, but I need to have a business. Well, how is this going to work for us? Like, that's not what goes through a lot of people's minds. But it did for Jacob, because Jacob was a Hebrew, and the Hebrew minds, the children of Israel was an entire nation of entrepreneurs. They didn't have an employee mindset. They had an employer mindset. They were entrepreneurs. So he's like, all right, this is what I'll do. And Laban's like, name your price, wages, I'll give it to you. And Jacob said, I'm going to start a business and with my family. For every like speckled or every spotted animal that is born, as he was a herdsman, that will be mine, and that's the increase. We have these animal products, and then you will keep the ones that are healthy and fit and doing well. He's like, done, let's do it. So he sent his sons, and he started a family business 3 days journey away, and he started a side business and had his family be able to operate this. Wow. He was working full-time for Laban, the God blessed, where there was an abundance of spotted calves. There was abundance of speckled. Now that Jacob had a business, then God was able to bless him, because until Jacob owned his own business, his blessing went to Laban. And so there's a lot that can be said there, but we won't go off on a tangent. But I want you to see that Jacob had a side business, and his side business became his full time. At the end of the chapter in Genesis, the Lord blessed him with abundance and prosperity, and he was able to thrive with that business. It outgrew that of Laban's. So I want you to understand that your day can be broken into 3 8-hour sections. Each one of us has been given 24 hours in a day. And you're like, I'm so busy. I go to work, a job, and it's like, I don't have time to start a business. Well, that's partially true. My question that I always ask people is, what are you doing with your last 8 hours? What are you doing with your last 8 hours a day? What do you mean last 8 hours? Well, your first 8 hours, you spend sleeping. The average person sleeps for about 8 hours every day. And then, let's say you're working at a 9 to 5, you're going to work, so then you spend 8 hours working. What about your last 8 hours? You know that somewhat discretionary time, the time that you're able to influence. You don't have an employee or a boss telling you, dictating what to do. You don't have sleep that's looming over that you're sleeping. What are you doing with the last 8 hours of your day? And in there, we have time for what we make time for. You have to understand, sometimes we're saying yes to all these different things, and we're just taking on a whole bunch, but we haven't learned to focus. You have control over your time. You're not being held at gunpoint and decided to go do certain things. It's like really time management. To expand the town of time is really priority management. Time can't be managed. Time comes and goes. Your priorities can. What you choose to focus for. We have time for what we make time for. So as we start to find the pockets of our time, and like Jesus said, to gather up the fragments, that nothing be lost, this is where you will find the ability to transition from your career to your calling. And I'd submit to you that the reason, if you work hard on your job, you'll make a living. But if you work hard on yourself, you'll make a fortune. If you work hard on your job, you'll make a living. But if you work hard on yourself, you'll make a fortune. The difference is work harder on yourself than you do on your job, and you will find that you are developing high income skills, valuable skills that will be able to earn the income to expand and to turn your career to a calling. And if you still need a job, the reason why you still need a job is because you haven't yet given a job to your money. And when you learn to use your money to make more money, to use your intention and your income to increase your income, this will help you to turn your career, transition from your career to your calling. And but it's going to require you to learn some new skills. And so as we go back to these 4 classes of impact, one of the most valuable things that this did for me personally is we're talking about the talent of time and acquired money. We're looking at these 2 talents and trying to break the myths. And if there's one thing I could do is to separate in your mind, to think and automatically associate, if I want more money, I have to sell more of my time. It's not about selling to the highest bidder. It's about learning valuable skills. One way you can use your income to increase your income is by investing in yourself. Your mind is the greatest asset that you possess. Your mind, your thoughts, your faculties, the skills that you have, this is the one thing that you can do that will always have the greatest return on investment. See, if we look back at these 4 classes of impact, if you want to make more impact and work at the higher classes of impact, then you need to, what it did for me, it helped me to shift how I prioritize my income in what I purchase. I started investing more in courses, investing more in coaching, investing more in the skills that will help me to learn. I just invested in a program. It was $19,000 for coaching with Myron Golden, and I've greatly appreciated the things that I've learned and grown. Has been a tremendous aid. When I was at the Funnel Hacking Live events, they sold their coaching program for $25,000. I saw there was 200 people that were lined up to sign up for this program. And you see, the difference between the wealthy and the poor is that the wealthy value their minds. They value investing in their skills. And when I say invest your income, I'm not just talking about like stocks and Bitcoin and real estate. I mean, there's other things you can invest. You can invest in relationships, mentorship. You can invest in courses and training for education like this. Some of you guys have chosen to upgrade to the inner circle. Some of you guys have said yes to that. And others have limiting beliefs on investing in yourself. Because if we're unwilling to invest in our mind, the greatest asset that we have, in our skills, then it will be harder to learn, harder to grow. Because here's the truth. Those who are unwilling to buy will be unable to sell. This is why it's important to become a person who genuinely loves to pay people. Because if you are unwilling to buy and to invest in your skills, then you will not be in integrity for you to sell what you are unwilling to buy. And in order to be able to attract people who are excited to pay you, you have to become someone who is excited to pay others, genuinely loves to pay people for their service, for the speed, for the service, for the time, for the solution, whatever it is that what you're exchanging. So what this helped is to prioritize our time. And a lot of people came and they were calling, they're like, well, I want to know, how do I focus? Like, what do I need to focus on in my business, in my ministry, in order to grow, to get ahead? It's like, I would just ask yourself to audit and see how much time are you spending in which categories, in which classes of impact, because the greatest limitation of your business, of your ministry, of your organization, the greatest bottleneck is going to be the mindsets, the intention, the beliefs of the entrepreneur, of the leader. And as you lift those limits of the minds, it will lift the limitations of matter, that of the results that the organization has. So, like for me, I found that before I would be working on stuff, I would be actually doing a bunch of things, and as I'm doing this, I found that some people were like idle, they weren't as involved or active, and I'm like, what is going on? And I'm like, there's so much to do, and people were like, well, what do I need to do next? And I found that people were confused, they weren't as clear, they weren't sure what to do. And I'm like, I got all these things to do, and because I was so in this this implementation mode, it was hard. But then I began to realize, okay, verbalize is a higher level of impact. Visualize is a higher level of impact. So I started to invest in skills under visualize, like imagination, like learning goal setting, learning how to prioritize, how to focus. My word of the year for 2020 was intention. Intentional. I was studying intentional for an entire year. My word of the year for 2021 is focus. And by learning focus and the faculties of the mind in our Direction from God program, we have a monthly subscription that people join. I went over the 7 faculties of the minds. 7-month series just showing you how to maximize your minds and master your emotions, master your mind in the 7 faculties that God has given to you. And so by learning this for 7 months has been probably one of the best decisions of my life. But I probably wouldn't have done it as much if I had not realized the classes of impact and learning financial literacy, learning financial laws, because the truth is, financial literacy, understanding God's biblical laws, does not follow wealth, but wealth follows financial literacy. Invest more in your minds, and you will begin to find you'll do different things, sow different seeds, and reap different fruit. And verbalizing, learning skills like, and you can write these down, skills like selling, persuasion, copywriting, public speaking, content creation, storytelling, leadership. Master these skills of verbalizing. It's a higher level of impact. So and we're almost done. We're looking at what we're talking about is investment. Did you know there's a law of investment, that what you sow is what you reap? Every word is a seed that you sow in the garden of your minds. Every thought is a seed. Every dollar is a seed. And when we understand every deed is a seed, then we will think differently about how we invest. I've found that each time I have invested in courses and programs and coaching, I have received a return that is greater than my investments. And there's a saying often in entrepreneurship, and it's talking about, you want to consider the ROI of something, the return on investments. Sometimes they say the return on investment of your time, and it's very interesting. If we could put it on the slide, that you want to consider the return on investment of your time. But what I like to say is a little different. I would encourage you to consider, when was the last time you considered the eternal return on investment of your time? What is the eternal return on investment of your life, of the activities that you're doing? Invest in things that will last throughout eternity. Jesus said that in Revelation 22:12, and behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me, to give every man according as his work shall be. So depending on the activity, the work that you do here, we're not saved by our works, by no means, but we're rewarded by the labors that we do, the types of work, the impact that we have on earth will impact the reward in heaven. It won't determine that, but Jesus says that we should store our treasures in heaven. So see, what are things that you can, skills and things that you can learn, and that will last and endure throughout eternity, eternal riches. like skills. Do you realize your character is the only thing that you get to take to heaven? And the character of those you influence? Your character is two things, your thoughts and your feelings. That is the treasure that you get to have for eternity. Not just your thoughts and feelings, but the thoughts and the feelings of others that you influence by learning sales, persuasion, influence, leadership, by learning these skills. And as you're influencing them for Christ, you're winning them to Jesus through an evangelistic business, you're able to dramatically impact eternity. And so I'd encourage us to consider the eternal results and consequences of our lives. And as we do this, there's two types of learning that we can do. There is just-in-time learning versus just-in-case learning. And I spend no time in just-in-case learning. When there's a lot of times that we study and we learn, and it has been a waste. So what we could do, there are two ways to learn. You can either learn from your mistakes, or you can learn from the mistakes of others. When you learn from your own mistakes, it takes time, the most valuable resource that you have. But when you learn from the mistakes of others, it will cost you money. You can pay. I often find, Job says that the price of wisdom is above rubies. And wisdom comes from experience. Experience comes from mistakes or learning from others. And so Job is showing that if you have an opportunity to trade your money for wisdom, for experience from counsel, then do that, because it is so much more valuable than time. If you want to learn in decades what took others decades to learn from your own mistakes, and it will cost you time. But if you want to learn in days what took others decades to learn, then decide, get very clear your intention on what do you want in life. Find someone who has it and pay them whatever they charge so you can figure out how to do what they've done, and then do that, and then follow those principles. And those are the two ways to learn. It's interesting, Proverbs 13:18, it shows that there is one of the things that perpetuates poverty in Proverbs 13:18 is it says, "Poverty and shame shall be to him that refuseth instruction, but he that regardeth reproof shall be honored." So I find it fascinating that the wealthy are constantly investing in their skills and investing in learning learning from those who have made the mistakes that they don't want to repeat. And my question is, are the wealthy learning from others' mistakes because they are wealthy, or are they wealthy because they learn from others' mistakes? I would say it would be the latter. Success leaves clues. So as we learn to study the success of others, then we will find greater success in the things we do. People are faster than books. Mentors compress time. And I find that like having a coach is one of the only real shortcuts that actually exist in life. There's a lot of people looking for hacks and shortcuts and techniques, things that will shorten things. And there's a lot of tricks and gimmicks, but they don't actually shorten things. But, and like, I'm not a shortcut person who's trying to look for the quickest, fastest, easiest way to do nothing and still get a whole bunch. That's not what I'm saying. But what I find is like having a coach is probably one of the truest shortcut that I know of, a mentor who's been where you want to go and can show you the way. And this is the way that Jesus taught his disciples. He taught on discipleship. It was a mentorship. You see, I love this photo. It says, Jesus didn't make disciples this way, so why do we? Where they're all just sitting around in a classroom. Jesus taught them through work, through life, through experience. This is how they were able to experience. True education is teaching men to be independent thinkers and not mere reflectors of other men's thoughts. And in this work, you can earn while you learn. And the faster you learn, the more you earn. So it is just in time information that we want to consider. What season of life are you in? And then use that. Well, I want to say that what we've covered so far is what society isn't telling you about the impact of your income. There is, hopefully as you go through this, you've been receiving insight, you're receiving understanding and training and things that are unlocking things in your mind that you may have not seen before. So that's because we're looking at like society doesn't want you to know this. It's a lot of times it's in their best interest to keep you as slaves so that you have to serve them and not realize the connection of the impact of your income. But we're showing you this today, and I want to say that we are opening up a application that for those of you who are interested. At the end of this event, we're going to present an offer, and we're going to give you an opportunity that if you're interested in seeing what our offer is at the end, you're going to have to apply. There's people who are joining here from YouTube, from Facebook, from all around, and we're only going to be accepting 4 people who are going to be accepted into our program. And that means that even if 5 people joined and they applied, that we're only accepting 4. So as soon as we get to 4, that's it. So if you want to come and see the offer, if you want to see what is being presented afterwards, then go ahead and apply. We're going to drop you a link, and we will send it to you in the email so that you can apply to see if this is going to be a good fit for you. But just because you apply doesn't mean you're going to be accepted into the program. We're going to be very specific on who we're allowing in and who we're not. But I believe that there's some of you who are here and you're ready to take it to the next level. You're ready to go where you haven't gone before, and you want to see how you can do it in a short amount of time. You don't want to learn in decades what took decades to learn. You want to learn in days what took others years to learn. And I believe this is possible. So when we send you this link, what you're going to want to do is just fill out the application. It costs nothing to apply, to join. And then only those who fill out the application are going to be invited to a separate private Zoom chat. And on our own separate time, we're going to interact, and we're going to share it. And then I'll be able to share with you what the offer is. And if you don't want it, that's okay. It's not going to be for everyone. And that's totally fine. But we want to give you the opportunity. If you're ready, if you think this is something you want to see, then go ahead and apply. It costs nothing to apply, and then see if you could be accepted into the program. So I want to say thank you, friends, for being a part of this. And I really pray and I hope that this has been opening your eyes and making sense. In fact, I know that these things work because it's straight there in the scriptures. The Word of God has these principles all over. And I'm excited to see you to live your calling, turn your calling into a career, and to be able to live the life that God has called you to. Thank you so much, friends. And I look forward to seeing those in the inner circle into our networking event afterwards. Not too late to sign up for the inner circle. If you want to do so, go to callingtocareerchallenge.com/experience. And we're going to do the networking event soon. Have a great day, friends. And remember that God doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called.
I hope you did too. I'm really excited. Just comment if you've been taking notes, and put your favorite thing that you saw today that really stood out to you. When I was listening to Enoch, just towards the very last there, I was thinking in general, we all get all this information. There's a lot of information, so that's why you have to take notes. But you have to put it into a plan. You have to have a plan to convert it into something. And something he said that really stuck out to me, and it's out of the Bible, it talks about trees and them bearing fruit. And, when you have a tree, you might not be familiar with this if you don't grow stuff, but when you have plants and trees, you have to actually be plan and look at your tree and find out where it's going to grow the most fruit at, and you actually have to go back and remove some of the branches. And Jesus talks about removing branches. So you have to remove branches, you have to remove extra leaves so that the fruit can actually grow and you can bear good fruit. And as he was teaching, one of the principles that stood out to me was, when you have 8 hours, today you have 8 hours, you've already had your sleep. Okay, you've already been probably doing your work, other stuff that's going on, but you have 8 hours. 8 hours today to invest in yourself. What are you going to invest in? Where are you going to bear those fruit? Because whatever you sow, that's what you're going to reap. And today, the skills that you learn today are life-changing. They are going to change your life. So I know that right now you guys are thinking about, man, I've got to get in that course. I've got to get in there. I want you to go ahead and like we said, we're not going to just let anybody in, but we're going to do some screening to make sure it's a good fit. And because we really want you to succeed, we're here not just to give you information, but we want you to be successful in the work that God's called you to do. So thank you once again, and don't forget we have our inner circle that starts at 12:15 Pacific Standard Time, which is just right around the corner, and we'll see you there.